What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new video. It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again as we're going to be getting into Supergirl for you guys today, as we had a brand new episode this week. The second part to our two-parter here, as we get the opportunity to go back in time to the 2009, but say 2009s, like there was more of them. Going back to 2009 to visit a young Kara along with Alex here, as we have Brainy and Nia a little bit on a Back to the Future sort of adventure, if you will. As they have to go ahead and get some more of Kara's DNA in order to go ahead and bring Supergirl back from the Phantom Zone. So we get the opportunity to have another part here, which, mind you, Kyler Lee, who in fact does play Alex, actually directed this week's episode. It was in fact her directorial debut, and if you ask me, I think she did a stellar job here. It didn't feel like whoever the director was certainly missed any beats. It definitely felt like a great Stargirl, great Supergirl episode this week also, continuing to let not only young Kara and Alex shine, but also Peter Sodarso, who played Kenny in here, had a marvelous two-part performance, I have to admit, as Kenny. He's a character that I actually kind of wish I would see a little bit more of. No, that doesn't mean I'm asking for a young Kara and Alex spin-off series. I'm just saying I really did love what Peter Sodarso wind up doing as Kenny in here. So shout out to Kyler Lee for just having an incredible directorial debut. I definitely know she was certainly looking forward to it. And hopefully this will open up the doors for her to, whether or not it's on another Supergirl episode later on this season, or maybe she transitions over to other work, whether that be television or film. This is a great learning curve and a learning experience for her as well. So awesome job this week, Kyler Lee, to certainly say the least. But really enjoyed this episode. I mean, honestly, I've really enjoyed this, especially as a two-part series. I think it even really surprised me going into these episodes that I was going to come out thinking to myself that these were going to be super enjoyable, and I've actually really enjoyed it. I think these episodes have really allowed not only the actresses that play young Kara and Alex to certainly shine, but I think it even puts Jessie Rath, an actress that plays Nia Nall, to the forefront, as seeing Nia and Brainiac really showcase what they're able to do. For me, like when I think about this episode specifically, we've already talked about the idea that I'm a big advocate for a Legion of the Superheroes sort of spin-off series, and I feel like this two-part episode alone shows me who your two leads for that show could easily be in Nia along with Brainiac, and the idea of them really being able to carry this two-part episode with their adventure that they were certainly on. And again, for me, when I look at Nia Nall, I mean, I've said this before and I've complimented her, but this episode again just shows how super she truly is. The idea that she is her own full-fledged sort of superhero at this particular point in time. I personally think so. She is getting better. I mean, clearly we do see her struggling a little bit with trying to decipher her dreams, but I mean, damn, can we even decipher our own dreams sometimes, right? Like, that's super difficult to be able to do, but for her to be able to do so, help save the world, and just kind of go above and beyond whenever was certainly needed of her, especially when it comes to the Cat Grant stuff that we saw this episode. I think Nia definitely laid it all on the line in order to go ahead and get this mission completed. And so I'm really glad that Brainiac at least sort of took notice and just reaffirmed to Nia, if she ever doubted herself that she's not capable of doing this sort of thing, I think she definitely has proven it to herself along with Brainiac and to me also. And so I just think when I think of Legion of Superheroes, I think to myself, if you need some lead actors, you got some right here in Supergirl, because I really do feel that they can easily carry that show, but whatever the case may be. But I just thought we had some great performances, some really fun and just emotional moments with these characters. I felt like very much the first half of this two-parter was a lot more of the humorous aspect, if you will. This one kind of tugged at your heartstrings a little bit, hitting you with a little bit more emotions as our characters really start trying to realize things for their own personal life. So a couple of things that really just jumped out at me. Let's give props where props are due, especially when it comes to young Kara along with Kenny in this episode. I really enjoyed her relationship with him, the friendship that those two had. I really love the chemistry of both these actors. It really helps exude their emotions across the screen to make it believable for me, at least. So I absolutely love seeing these two characters together, how well they work together, how well they certainly know each other. Probably also the most mature high schoolers I've ever seen in my life. Like, what type of relationship or high school relationship has those type of serious sit down conversations and understanding we have to find ourselves each and kind of go our own way, right? And everybody's all hunky-dory and just happy about it, and let's go finish this prom, girl, type of thing, right? And I don't know. I'm pretty sure that never happened in my high school days at all, but so easily the most mature high schoolers I've ever seen. But honestly, if I could be honest, a part of me was really hoping that she would actually stay around with her supering with Kenny, because I honestly really enjoyed them. Seeing what Kenny did as far as going above and beyond and creating that fortress for her, you know what I mean? Clearly understanding how much it's changed Kenny in his life. I was really hoping that these two would certainly kind of stick through it and certainly stick together. And you can easily feel that that's exactly what the case was certainly going to be for Kara, especially when she goes ahead and meets him at prom, right? Like, I feel like there's just hearts in their eyes. It's just the evening is beautiful. It's prom night. You're just in your feels, you know, the corsage exchange. You're with somebody you clearly love and care about, sort of thing. So Kara was definitely going to go ahead and ride that wave of sticking around and supering with Kenny. But it really is just the notion of, I think, a couple of things in this episode. One, the idea of Alex and her conversation, which I thought was really great. You know, the idea of Alex expressing how she went off to kind of live her life and found herself a little bit, right? Started having inspirations of things that she could easily do with her life into the future, sort of thing. So I think that definitely helped. But obviously seeing how her future certainly might turn out, right? Getting captured, Cat Grant exposing them, if you will, the police officers being there and then being arrested, her, you know, flying away and letting everybody know that she's an alien, and seeing just the fear that certainly comes with it, right? Or maybe even the danger that's presented to Kenny, if you will. Realizing all that stuff, as she said, at the age of 17, that is kind of life altering, right? That kind of makes you look at your life a little bit differently and make you understand you really have to make some smart decisions and some better decisions for yourself. Something that I think Alex was also trying to express for her in the previous episode as well, but maybe just not in that frustrated manner that she certainly came across as. So I like the idea of Kara seeing potentially the dangers that could certainly happen to her friends, the idea that she doesn't want to necessarily get stuck in just being in Midvale the whole entire life, right? That there's probably more out there for her to certainly accomplish for herself. So I really just enjoyed what we got between Kara and Kenny in here, and the fact that as much as they clearly love and care about each other, they do also recognize the idea that they also have to find themselves. They're super young, right? I mean, even Kenny talks a little bit about the idea of, you know, his situation with his mom, and him really wanting to go ahead and kind of find himself. The idea that he's so used to enjoying the supering thing, but it's kind of pointed out to him that he's pretty vulnerable, right? That he has to rely on Kara to kind of save him all the time, if you will. And so I think Kenny probably maybe wants a little bit something different for his life, so he feels a little bit more capable himself. However, he manages to find that for himself. So just really mature and some really great decision making by both of these two characters, and I'm just so glad that Kenny actually survived through this two-parter. I was really worried that out of everything that Nia along with Brainiac wind up doing, I just kept thinking to myself, please don't mess up the future to where Kenny's dead. Please don't do that. So I'm really glad that they certainly didn't, and we get Kenny and Kara to at least have a beautiful farewell for those two before they certainly go ahead and separate ways and really kind of live their lives. So again, just kudos to some amazing performances by young Kara and Alex, who just not only look like younger versions of these characters, but just portray them so incredibly well and still hold on to their values and their personalities and just what really makes them them. So like it's such an easy transition to see them as young and then into their older versions. So I just think the casting has been extremely perfect with whoever brought them on board. So I'm really glad that they certainly stuck around and had some great impact in these two episodes. And maybe we'll see them again somewhere down the line. And if not in Supergirl, maybe on another CW show or just in the future. It'd be pretty cool to see what else they come up with. If there was any downside to this episode that I kind of wish that we got that we didn't get, based off of the fact that this episode was called Prom Night, I'm a little bit bummed that we didn't actually get an official prom like at all in here, right? We saw the corsages, we saw the, we saw the dresses and things like that. I mean, even Brainiac and Nia dressed up in this episode. And while we did have some really sweet kind of prom night moments, right? Kara and Kenny exchanging the corsages, having those sweet talks. We even see Brainiac and Nia just kind of taking each other in, if you will. Seeing just the beauty of them two, one in the tux and Nia looking gorgeous as ever in her dress and things like that, right? So sweet kind of prom moments, but I honestly would have loved to have seen those two kind of dancing on the dance floor a little bit, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, we certainly didn't get that. But I really continued to love what we wind up getting between Nia and Brainiac, them truly being each other's pillars and helping each other out through all their different types of situations. Like, I love seeing Brainiac just completely freak out, understanding just how messed up they've made the time-space continuum, if you will. A lot of that, unfortunately, isn't on them. That is really on Cat Grant, who kind of stumbled into that situation that they clearly didn't account for at all, and then all the dominoes just wind up quickly falling. Like, when you quickly see just all the mess that winds up happening in here, that Brainiac starts freaking out about, like, I can definitely understand, right? Just getting the opportunity to see like Kara being revealed, officers on their way, I probably would freak out too, honestly. But the one thing that I loved about this is that we also get to see Nia continuing to grow as a superhero, in the sense that her powers are definitely expanding and she's learning how to use them a little bit, right? She's now interacting in her dreamscape mode, if you will, and not only that, but she's now sort of bringing objects and things out of her dreams and sort of making them into reality, if you will, sort of bringing them out of her dreams and into the present. And I think that's actually pretty cool that she can kind of channel them now into the real world. So we're definitely continuing to see just the growth of Nia and her power set at the end of the day. So I thought that was pretty neat overall to kind of see what Nia is definitely up to. And one of the things that we also kind of see here is that it feels very much as though she's kind of the one to inspire Cat Grant, if you will, to go ahead and create this empire of her own. The fact that the two-parter, she's kind of been going by this, CJ Grant name this whole entire time, but it's really Nia who kind of influences her with that Cat Grant name, if you will, right? Even goes on to tell her, go ahead and create yourself a multimedia empire, separate yourself from Perry White. You don't need to be out here, sort of thing, right? So really putting her on the right track to go ahead and have an extremely bright future. So they definitely did their part in regards to making sure that the space-time continuum actually went back to normal. But when things like this happen, honestly, like especially when it comes to time traveling, one of the things that always comes to mind is, like, don't these people recognize these people as they're older? You know what I mean? Like, if you're inspiring Cat Grant, right, and you bumped across a Nia Nall and maybe a Brainiac or something like that, in your later years, wouldn't you? Well, then again, I think about it, Nia Nall, I don't think, did she get the chance to meet Cat Grant before Cat wind up leaving? I don't think so. So maybe she wouldn't have known her, because I was thinking to myself, wouldn't Cat Grant now in her later stages know her? But I guess maybe that's a perfect example for young Kara, right? Does young Kara Danvers out of high school recognize Brainiac and Nia, so that when she does meet them more in modern time, now she would have recognized them a little bit more? Like, just little things like that certainly make me curious, because anytime it comes to time traveling, it can always be confusing in some sense or another. But I'm just glad that they wind up getting things back to normal. And Brainiac's absolutely right. When they get back and they save Supergirl from the Phantom Menace, a lot of that is going to be because of the fact of Nia Nall grasping the idea of being super and just doing something remarkable in these two-parters. So I'm really glad that everybody got a fantastic time to shine. And I think, for, 5-6 episodes so far into Supergirl, I think they've come knocked it out of the park so far with some really great storytelling with the Phantom Zone and the Phantoms that our super friends have to face off against. Our two-parter, young Kara and Alex sort of episodes, and now going into next weekend where we finally have the mid-season finale for Supergirl, because Superman and Lois will certainly be returning, and then Supergirl returns this upcoming August. So it's going to be quite a ways away for this mid-season finale, but I think we're going to end it on a great note. The preview looked great. It's also going to be directed by David Harewood as well, Mr. Martian Manhunter himself. So you know, him knowing all these characters, I'm really expecting him to definitely bring it, because this is not his first rodeo at all. So I'm really eager. I think Supergirl's been fantastic this season. It's a shame, unfortunately, that it is in fact leaving us. But guys, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions. I definitely want to go ahead and know yours. What did you guys think of this episode of Supergirl? And listen, if there's anything I particularly missed, whether you guys want to talk about some other characters, I didn't really talk about the villains too much because I just felt like the villains were a little bit throwaway, especially in this episode, in the sense that they're just so over the top, you know, like I just feel like they were so designed to be that way that I don't really seem to have cared for them too much, right? These two episodes definitely focus a lot more on the characters, to certainly say the least, with the exception of the villains. But if there is anything else that I missed, whether that be character moments, storyline, plot, or details that you guys further want to talk about, leave your thoughts in the comment section box below, and so we can go ahead and further this discussion before next week's episode. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here. If you love our content, hit that big old thumbs up button. That like button definitely goes a long way. And if you want to continue to get our videos, hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification, so when we do drop brand new videos or go live, you will certainly be notified. But other than that, guys, do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you later. Bye.